Let's talk about Mauricio Pochettino, who this week couldn't stop talking about whether or not he was happy in the job. Thoughts?
Well, that was a very interesting reaction to questions in his press conference on Friday. There will be a review in the summer at Chelsea, led by their ownership and sporting directors, Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart, to determine whether Mauricio Pochettino continues. Clearly, he appeared to open the door, although he rode back a bit on that after yesterday's match. Their form has improved at Chelsea in, you could say, 2024, but the ownership and the hierarchy will be conducting their assessment based on the body of work over his whole first season in charge. And certainly by Chelsea's expectations, it has not been a good season. They'll be looking at the progress, the development, the style and the principles of play, the injury record, which has been awful, and plenty more metrics, such as the overall club structure. Is Mauricio Pochettino committed to what Chelsea's new ownership are instituting here, which is a club that is led by them and the sporting directors, in a not too dissimilar way of what Liverpool are trying to do now with Michael Edwards and Julian Ward and others coming into FSG post-Klopp, and obviously a new head coach in Arne Slot who will have to fit into that. Manchester United will be trying to do that as well with Ineos, these new technical directors, sporting directors, chief executive, and whether it's Erik ten Hag or somebody else, they will have to fit into that too. So it raises big questions. If Mauricio Pochettino is to leave, I'm sure there will be a number of vacancies and people looking at him because of his career so far. I mean, he's been heavily linked to this club, Manchester United, in the past. He met with Ineos about the niche job some time ago, so there are some links there. Maybe his carrot style of management is fitting to the carrot style that Ineos like to exhibit themselves. I'm not saying he is in the frame by any means, but it is just one to watch. And their financial situation at Chelsea has been open to huge scrutiny. Will they comply with the profitability and sustainability rules? They have so far, and they are confident that they will continue. They do not need to make sales, is my understanding, to comply for 2023 to 24. The cut-off is June the 30th. They will need to make sales to comply for 2024 to 25. The cut-off, obviously, the end of the transfer window in August, and then January as well. That could see Conor Gallagher leave, Trevor Chalobah, Thiago Silva's leaving, so his wages are off the book. Ian Matson and maybe Datro Fofana, and that will allow them to bring in players. They will continue to look for the best young players in the world, irrespective of age. It's all about experience and quality and the principles that this new ownership at Chelsea want to see going forward. What we don't know is whether Mauricio Pochettino will be in charge of that.
Wow, fascinating stuff. Our Premier League insider, thank you to David Ornstein. Robbie, the link he made there between Pochettino and Manchester United. We have known for years that United have looked at Pochettino. But for that to happen, that seems like a huge amount of work would have to be done to get him out of his job at Chelsea, unless, of course, they fired him.
It would, and I don't think they're firing him any time soon. And I've got to be honest, Rebecca, if you're Chelsea, under no circumstances would I be letting Pochettino go and jump into the Manchester United job. They've got a manager who can see this through. I thought the Pochettino thing was a bit of a power grab. I thought it was him sort of saying, listen, I'm important too, and I need to have a say in certain things going forward because I'm a top-line manager, and I get it, and I understand why he took that line, but Chelsea can ill afford to let him go.
Well, actually, Tim, the rumour of him and Manchester United strengthens his position even more. If Chelsea as owners are thinking, well, maybe we'll make a change, they would not want to risk firing him for him to turn up at Old Trafford the next day.
Correct. The one issue there, Robbie, for me is if Chelsea want to run the football club from the top down and give the manager what they think he needs, as opposed to the manager telling them, that could be an issue. And I think Pochettino's the right man for the job. But if they meet after the season and he says, no, I want more say, and they say, well, that's not how we're running this operation, then he may just have to leave. I hope he doesn't, because I do think I like him at Chelsea, but wow, can you imagine if he pops up at United?
Review a few days at the end of the season, and David was talking about they'll look at the body of work rather than recent form, but isn't the point that the recent form is the most relevant?
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, Ineos need to get the right man, and it's looking increasingly like Erik ten Hag is not the man. And I know the PSR, and I know that money could be an issue. You spend 100 million on Anthony. If you have to sell Jadon Sancho, sell him to go and make sure you put the right man in charge of Manchester United and start building it back again.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.